Meeting. We'll go ahead and call it to order. So the first item on the agenda is the minutes from the January meeting. So any discussions about those minutes? Okay. I said January, but I was looking at the wrong page. The February meeting minutes is what we're discussing. So any discussion about those? All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so the next item is some wall signs were approved between our February meeting and today. Is there any discussion, questions, comments on those approvals?
I don't have any, unless you all have any. I don't think any of them have been installed yet.
Okay. So the couple of them there, Petrillo's and Segura King, those businesses have been there. They're
Yeah,
just
they're
replacing.
just modifying them slightly, a little, so it shouldn't be.
Okay.
Just trying to add a logo for each of them.
Oh, okay.
State Farm, his is not installed yet. That's the same State Farm location that we reviewed the ground sign last month near Costco.
Okay. All right, so let's move on down to the end where the landscape plan applications are. I think we have someone here representing At Home Decor Superstore, which is moving over to the former Gander Mountain building in the Turkey Creek area.
Yeah, At Home is moving from Outlet Drive to Gander Mountain, and as part of this, they're actually expanding the building to the east. It's about a 14,500 square foot expansion, and reworking some of the front part of the building to make it more fitting with the At Home look rather than Gander Mountain. There's parking and an outdoor storage display area in the current Gander Mountain location on the east side of the building, and where the proposed building expansion is going, and that's going to involve some existing trees being removed and some modification to the landscaping along the eastern part of the site, and then also they're reworking the landscaping in the front and the west side of the building, and basically they are providing the replacement trees for those that are affected by this expansion. There's actually, I think it's very slightly less lot coverage than what's out there right now, because the parking on the east side of the building consumes more space than where the building expansion is going. So it's got actually more green space on the east side of the building. They still will maintain the greenway parking spaces kind of in the northeastern part of the parking lot, and there'll be a sidewalk that you can take all the way to the back to where the greenway runs along the interstate Parkside Greenway. So the landscape plan meets all the requirements, and as long as it's consistent with the site plan, staff recommends approval. And Annette is here if you have any specific questions related to the landscape plan.
So basically, we're just adding, looks like to the east and north side of the building, a few trees.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not, the rest of it already meets the rest of the building, the lot's
Yeah, they're
already.
not changing anything out in the parking lot or around the remainder of the building. It's mainly just in the front, some on the west, and then the east side.
On the east side where it meets up to Best Buy,
Yeah.
does changing any of that, because I know there's that median in between the two parking, like there's some Best Buy parking and then there was their parking, right? Or was it, Was there median in there?
There
Does
was
it
the
all
two
match up?
parking lots with the 10-foot setback for each, and now you actually have the building, which would be at least 20 feet, I think, from the side. So the actual hard surfaces will be a little bit further away from Best Buy's parking lot with this. That's why I was talking about earlier. It's a little bit less lot coverage, I believe, than what they have out there right now. So it's got slightly more green space, I believe, than what they have, barely.
So they're leaving what's in that green space that's already there and then adding this in that parking spot.
Yeah, they'll have to take out some of the existing trees that are in the parking lot because they got to demo the parking lot on the east side of the building. And then they're just going back with, a grass, lawn, and then, new trees.
This is the side where Gander Mountain kept their kayaks, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
Yes.
taking out all that
That
concrete that was underneath that overhang and replacing
out
it with grass and some trees?
that and the
Is that my
parking.
understanding?
They're adding on to the building.
Oh.
Up there.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
please.
Show you on this, but
Sorry.
yeah, they're adding basically.
So they're expanding out, covering, actually enclosing and covering that section of the building,
Plus a little more.
plus a little bit more. Okay, now I understand.
I don't know why this is not.
Expanding it into what is currently a parking,
Right, okay.
but it's not going to go as far as the existing parking was my understanding. So there's going to be some additional
There'll be
green
a
space.
There's a little 20-foot wide fire lane that's, I think, 50 feet.
It's on the lower part. I
But
can't.
other than that, it's all going to be grass on
highlight
the
it,
east
okay.
side.
Okay.
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 Not letting me highlight anything.
Okay.
I see it now. I see the visual now. I was trying to think of the existing and what was going to happen with it, so.
Yeah.
It's going from 66,000 square foot to around 80,000 square foot building.
All right.
I'm glad you're moving there. I go there a lot. Good
I've never been in.
Yeah, it should be a better location, I would think. It's a little more visible there.
They're
than-
excited about moving over there too.
Yeah, that should be good.
Traffic on
Glad to see the
outlet
building reoccupied
and all
for
the
sure.
apartments.
All right. So it looks to me like that's a good plan. Is there any other questions, comments from the board? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make, I cannot read the names of any of these trees or shrubs, but I'm going to assume if Mark's looked at them that they're all good, so. I'll
Can
make
you
a
all
motion.
zoom in whenever I email it to you? Is that a better way to do it? You should be able to zoom in on the plan when you get it from email. I don't know if y'all are doing that or not, but
We're
do, but
essentially
I-
replacing basically what's out there already.
yeah, they're trying to match in the shrubs too, the same kind of shrubs that were used as part of the Gander Mountain so that it has some symmetry with the existing plant material.
So we have a motion?
I make a
Not yet.
motion to accept this as it's written.
Okay. We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks.
All right, why don't we move right up to item number 5, the ground-mounted sign applications, and we'll go ahead and start there.
You just want to do the signs first or the charter?
The signs.
Or, okay.
While we're in that mode,
All right. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So you got the Kumon is the first one. Tenant panel on that's the shopping center down near the interstate where the Dunkin' Donuts is located. And their tenant panels, obviously they're in the lower left. It looks legible and is consistent with the other panels, so the staff recommends approval of this tenant panel.
Is that health markets, is it a lighter color than the other panels? Or does it just look that way in this?
I didn't notice it being a different color out in the field.
I believe that Sign Code did the health markets sign previously, so they may have just done the mock-up from the
Yeah.
example that they did.
It's
I believe
got
that's
a,
what it is.
yeah, it's got the same background as what's out there.
The Kumon looks good. I kinda like the little face in there. Kinda
Yeah,
catches your eye.
Yeah, it is.
Same colors, everything else, block letters. They fill out the space pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Looks legible
like
to me.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Any further discussion on Kumon? All right, so we have a motion. Go ahead.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So move on down to the ground-mounted sign, Lagoda Fria, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's obviously in the same center.
Switching out.
And they've got the colors to match the other colors. It's got its own kind of logo there, the fork and spoon, which it's a challenge because it's a small spot and it's kind of, I don't know how visible that's going to be driving by, but I'm not really sure. They don't really have any space to do anything with that logo in there. They can't really go higher. So it's just, I don't think it's going to be a very effective tenant panel. I just don't know what other options they have unless they just totally change the way they present it and just have the name of the business and take the logo out and make the wording larger. But
Yeah, that's a tough center. It's a tough center because of the traffic through there.
yeah,
The placement of that sign anyway, it is hard to concentrate on that sign. I think when you're going towards the direction of the interstate, it's easier to look over and see the wall-mounted signs to me.
yeah.
But when you're coming from the interstate,
You don't even see the
sometimes you don't
building,
see any
really.
of it because
Yeah,
the traffic, it's hard to even pay attention to
I
it.
agree. I rarely see that sign. I'm
yeah.
usually looking at the wall
Well, and
sign.
the landscaping around it doesn't really allow you to see it very well either. This picture doesn't do justice to what's out there, but there's some taller grasses
Yeah.
that grow up, and those at the bottom you can't see, and it blocks a lot of the sign anyway. But the signs that you see are the wall-mounted signs most
Yes.
of the time, so I think it's,
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like it's not going to help or hurt. It just kind of is what it is.
and it looks like it's,
Yeah.
their logo anyway, so it's kind of hard to.
You can
Right.
see the bigger ones,
Change
you know,
that.
like Duncan and Health Markets, but those small ones are hard to see.
Yeah, they're
It's
tough.
just, the ratios is not conducive to the signage ratio, really.
No, it's a tough center. We've had a fair amount of turnover in there in some of the spaces.
I understand why they want to put their logo on it. I understand that, and it's a unique logo, and once
Yeah.
you see it, you know who you're dealing with. But that sign really lends itself to very block letter, type signage. That's
Yeah,
the
it
only
does.
way you can really fill that out and have it visible enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But again, I'm not sure it helps you a lot anyway, depending on the traffic out there.
Right.
So
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that area.
It's a good logo. You don't miss one. It's a good logo.
It has a good logo,
It's a good logo.
if you can see it.
So are we saying we want to accept it the way it is?
It would be, and
I'm good with that.
it's their corporate logo. Based on this information, it's their corporate logo, so we can't really, we can suggest that they, can we, is the question, can we suggest that they match up with more of the block letter style and make their investment for a wall-mounted sign with their logo? Or I'm not 100% in regard to that. If we can suggest that they do block letters so the name of the restaurant's out there using the ground-mounted sign, and then use their true logo as a wall-mounted sign and present something like that, that might be a way to get that out there, but get their name recognition using something more.
Is the wall mounting sign that was approved just like this? Do you remember?
It has different colors.
Well,
It's like
but
the color
the logo.
version down there in that lower left. It's pretty similar.
it does
to
have
that.
the logo and everything. You were going to see that on the wall. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've already got the wall-mounted sign, so
I think this is probably one of those things where you approve it as it is, but you suggest that, hey, why don't you
approval with suggestion.
consider doing block letters?
Make it more effective for them.
But if they like this, then
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
mean, not telling them what to do, just a suggestion, what might attract the eye, so.
okay. All right. Was there any further discussion? Do we have a motion then?
I'm going to make a motion that we approve as is.
Okay. We have a motion
Second that.
and we have a second. All in favor of the motion and second, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
And the reason I say that is I don't think the sign's gonna be that relevant anyway.
Right.
You don't
Kevin,
want to
I understand
suggest that.
exactly where
to
you're
them.
coming from. I do. I know,
You know,
I know.
Yeah.
No, we didn't say we
it,
would.
it,
We
it
said we'd accept
reminded
it.
me of the discussions we've had with Ed, and I wasn't sure if I was.
No, but they have approved this and they've seen that. Sure. Right, so.
Sure.
All right. So we're moving down now to Mortgage Investors Group.
Yeah, this is a existing sign on West End Center, West Point Drive intersection. And it's, I mean, it's clearly visible or legible, and I guess it depends on what they do with the rest of the face. Make sure it's compatible, you know. But it could look fine as long as future tenant panels, which you all will review, are consistent with that. It's
So that's a two-panel sign,
It's-
and they're the first panel, the first side to have a actual panel there?
yeah.
In place, okay.
So, I mean, they're just doing what we see, a white, black background, black block
That's
letters.
very legible.
It's
Yeah, I
very
mean, it meets all the criteria.
We'll just, I mean, we will be reviewing whatever happens on the remainder of the signs, so we'll just have to make sure that it looks compatible and consistent. And,
I mean, you're driving slowly through that area anyway. This
Yeah.
should be easy to read. It's
yeah, it's very, very easy to read that. So.
okay. Any further discussion on this one? Okay, do we have a motion?
All motion to approve?
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, so we need to go look at a charter amendment relative to a youth non-voting member.
Yeah, we have had this, actually, this language in the charter and the bylaws. Actually, we'll have to amend both, but since 2015, where we added the opportunity for the board to have a youth member, we haven't had any youth members apply for this particular board. I'm not really sure why or whatever, but that's pretty common, actually. Now, the Planning Commission has had a young man on there for about a year and a half, and he absolutely loves it. So he's great. I mean, he just I think he's going to be a future planner. I'm not sure why he would want to do that to himself, but he loves it. So hopefully we'll get somebody on the VRB someday. It's a good. I think it would be a good board to have a youth member, especially if we get in further along with the Tree City. The guy that was working on that ended up moving to Wyoming, so we're we're trying to rehire that position. So we're still going to pursue that, and very likely this board would be, the tree board, but that's ultimately up to the board of mayor and alderman to decide. But anyway, the only change that's being proposed to the charter is just to change the term of that youth member from a calendar to a fiscal year. We're doing that with all the boards where the youth member option is available. So this is just making that consistent with what we're doing with the other boards. So staff would recommend approval of that very minor change on both really the charter and the bylaws, and we can make that adjustment and forward that over to the board of mayor and alderman if y'all are okay with that.
Just to confirm, the town's fiscal year ends on June 30.
Yeah, that's right.
So it would match the town's fiscal year. Are we
Yeah.
going to say that plainly, that it matches the town's fiscal year in this
Can.
amendment?
I'm not sure. I was thinking it would just change calendar year to fiscal year.
But a fiscal year can start and end at different times without
Yeah.
definition. You don't know really when that is. So.
They may want to clarify that. I don't know if they were just assuming that we would be using the town's adopted fiscal year, which it's been June to July for forever. I mean, I don't, but you could suggest that clarification if you want.
Well, to me, this is a very simple change to the charter, and as you were talking about the bylaws, but I do think we should suggest that they define the fiscal year as the town's fiscal
Okay.
year, or some language, however they would write that, so it's clear this time.
Okay. Does anybody else have any suggestions or comments on that?
Okay. So we need to actually take a vote
if you don't
to.
mind. Yep.
So I have one question.
Okay.
So you said he had been on the other board for about a year and a half now?
He got
So this
reappointed.
person can be reappointed?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a limit on how many times?
I don't know. I don't see one on there currently.
I mean, there may be some other, I haven't read everything, but there may be some other place where youth is defined, and because I thought at the time we defined it as a junior or senior in high school or something like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking that
I think we did
too. I
that.
thought there was more definition around it.
Somewhere I think there is.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
part of a larger, where it would apply with applicants that are handled through other departments.
and there may be a definition of even fiscal year somewhere else that they are referencing. We don't have it in front of us right now. So
I'm not aware of that. But we definitely talked about the age thing, and I think that's clarified somewhere, I know, but I'm not sure where. But we look at that when you actually have to obviously apply. These youth members do, and then we see what their ages are, and where they're at this point, and give that consideration. I don't know how many boards we have that have youth members. The Stormwater Advisory Committee had one, and he had to get off of it because he didn't have enough time to come to the meetings, I believe. But so I know the Planning Commission has one, but I'm not sure if there's any other boards right now that have a youth member.
okay. Any further discussion about this amendment? Okay, so we need a motion. And I'll make the motion that we approve a amendment to the charter and bylaws defining the youth member as the town's fiscal year or a fiscal year by definition rather than the calendar year as it's currently written. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the last item on our agenda for this evening is furthering our discussion about the Adopt a Stream, basically some dates.
Yeah, I think y'all are gonna maybe check your calendars for sometime in the fall when it cools off, maybe November, or I don't know. If y'all have had a chance to look at that in the football schedule.
Weekend in October.
I can't remember what the football schedule looks like.
No, because they're at home this year.
And what we talked about last time was just, trying to see how many showed up and could work that in their schedules. And if we're having a real problem getting, good participation, we can revisit whether y'all want to continue or not at that time. So it looks like in November, you got November 3rd. This is all Saturdays. The 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th.
Well, to me, the earlier in the month would probably be a little better.
If November is, I'm just thinking in November, maybe it's cooled off a little bit, and maybe some of the vegetation's not quite as thick.
Right now, the 3rd or the 10th work for me, not knowing the football schedule right now. But
Brittany's checking on that.
The 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th are all home games.
oh, all of them.
The 10th and 17th?
Who are they?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, the 3rd is against Charlotte.
Oh, that's homecoming.
Yeah, and then the next week is Kentucky, and then the next week's Missouri. All home.
Are they, do you know what time, or it's probably not determined,
No,
is it?
don't know yet.
What's the
Kentucky,
last
Missouri are
week?
more likely to be later in the day.
24th is at Vanderbilt. That's our last game.
No, the last weekend in October,
That's South Carolina.
South Carolina, and
That's at South Carolina.
at South Carolina. That might work out.
That's
They're
the
away. They're away.
27th.
27th.
27th of October.
Yeah, I can't do it that day, but if everyone else can, that might be a good day to do it.
Jeannie's going to bring us some food, right? Is that what you're doing?
I will, that'll be my
Coffee and food?
27th might work good for me. I would go for, I would prefer the 3rd of November, but that's,
We probably aren't going to get a date where everybody can make it.
yeah.
I mean, it's usually these things are completed by 11:30 historically. So I
It's
mean,
usually pretty early.
unless you had a noon game, it wouldn't be a problem even with a 3:30 game. Probably.
Those games, I don't know if that game would be televised. Probably Charlotte would probably be televised, but
Somewhere it will be.
For
probably would
homecoming.
be early. I say we throw it on the schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Let's get it
then,
down. Yeah.
If we don't get one down, we'll never get
I
there.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
Which day? What do you want to look at here?
November 3rd or something.
Just do the 3rd.
3rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Works for everybody?
Yeah.
All right, the 3rd.
All right. Now it sounds good.
So what time do we do this now?
We usually start about 5:30 in the morning.
Okay. I'll be dreaming about you.
That's why you're bringing coffee, so we can wake up. No, we usually start at 9
Okay.
at the park and ride lot, and then we just work our way south along the creek.
Is that it, like the Jazzercise?
Yeah, start there.
Oh, behind Walgreens?
Behind the
I
liquor
frequently
store.
like work at, no, I'm just kidding. I like Jazzercise.
Behind the liquor store.
Oh,
Yeah.
which is, okay. All
We can get some
right.
beverages
Marty's is
after we
right there,
finish.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and we pretty much go to Grigsby Chapel Road,
Okay.
you know.
My daughter's in that class.
We hadn't cleaned it out in a while, so it might have some interesting
What you wanna
things down there.
She
We've had some good articles over the years. Had a bunch of tires and a Nevada license plate. That was interesting. I don't remember what else. We've had pizza boxes and pizza trays from Mellow Mushroom. You remember that?
Sure, yes, yes.
The metal ones. I mean, like what they cook
Yes.
them in. They were just
Yeah.
thrown down in there. I guess they were throwing a frisbee or something. All right, we'll plan on that then. Sounds good.
Okay, so that looks like the last item on the agenda, Mark, unless you have anything else we need to be aware of.
Should be it.
All right. Well, with that, we'll be finished for this month. See everyone again next time.
Hey, with just emailing you the packets like we've been doing, is that okay?
It's good. Yeah. It's good. We just need to print them off. I didn't get the print off menu, I'm sorry.
Yeah.